forgiveness of those whom you have wronged, or those whom you owe money, or those whom you owe something. And it is not only Haqqun Naas in money, because whenever I talk of Haqqun Naas, people think of money only. I have taken a loan from someone, I don't care, paying it back. I owe somebody and I don't want to pay, and I think that I'm going to go scot-free on the day of judgment. It's not going to be like that. Haqqun Naas is first. But this does not represent wealth and money only. Even riba and accusation and namami, all these are something for which someone will someday stand up before Allah and say, Ya Allah, I was innocent, and these are the accusations so and so made, and I want my accountability to be cleared. Wallahu ahkamul hakimeen. He is the best of the judges. So, if you look at it this way, it changes. Then if I owe somebody, I will start thinking as to this has got to be paid. And if I start loose talking against people and accusing them simply because I heard from one side, without going into the depth of the matter, without asking the other side, simply start spreading the rumor, then on the day of judgment there is going to be a day on which that fellow can come and just catch me by the sleeve and say, Mister, you said this. I was innocent, justified today. So for this reason, my friends and my sisters and brothers, these gossiping and loose talking sometimes is going to cost us a lot. Not here, but on the day of judgment. So that is why Mawla says, if speaking is silver, silence is gold. Keep quiet and don't talk. Talk of things of which you do not know. And then he said, on the day of judgment, many will rise to find their slate clean. And they will say, Ya Allah, where is my Hajj? What about Namaz Shab? What about the charities I gave? Ya Allah, your Malaika have forgotten to record many things. And he will also find what these days banks do. Somebody's gunah put into yours. It's not the banks, it's the computer. Whatever. Suddenly you get a bill of electricity, 1,000 pounds. He will say, Ya Allah, somewhere your computer has gone wrong. These are the sins I never committed. And the answer will come, oh my servant, this is a court, a place where nothing is forgotten and there is no error. You did the ghibat of so and so, we transferred your good deeds to him. Because he is madloom. So Hisham ibn al-Hakam, one of the companions of Imam Ja'far Sadiq, salawatullah wa salam alayhi, he was a young man when he came to our sixth Imam, very young man. He was trained by Imam. And he was the best theologian we have produced. Ilmul Kalam. Somebody told him, Hisham, people are talking a lot against you. Ghibat after ghibat. So and so said this, so and so said this. Now even this habit of conveying is bad. But he conveyed. He was a reliable man. He said, Hisham said, fine. I haven't done anything of that sort, but anyway, I will manage it myself. At night, he took a bag full of silver, a sword, one horse, and one maid servant, Kaniz. These are the things of those days. And with his slave and servant, he marched to the house of the one who has been talking and doing ghibat of his. Knocked the door. When the fellow opened the door, he saw Hisham, and his face turned pale because he knew what he was doing. He thought with these things he has come, he must have come for some revenge. He said, Salaam alaikum. He said, I have brought for you money if you need it. I have brought to you what a man needs, a sword and a horse. And I have brought to you what you might need, a maid servant, Kaniz, whom I can make halal for you so that she becomes your wife. And he said, Hisham, but I don't need these things. And why this all? He said, because you have done one good turn to me. You have done one ihsan to me. He said, what have I done? He said, you have transferred your good deeds to my account by talking so much. So I can't repay you, but I at least can pay you in this world, whatever you can. We sometimes irresponsibly go through, because we have a label of Shia Isna Shariza, we have a label of being Muslims, born of Muslim parents. We are required to understand that when we say Maliki Yawmiddin, it means we are confirming our faith in the day to come. And remember, my friends, daily we hear, daily, today we heard, somebody died. All of a sudden. Some young and some old. Some languishing in disease. Some altogether seemingly healthy. They sat with us at night here, and while we were standing for ziyarat, they went away. Some of them went home and never returned. We're listening to every episode that happens among us, and we don't know what the Prophet said. The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, your qiyamah, your day of judgment begins the day you die. That's all. The day you die, your qiyamah has begun. And we are just waiting. And is it not true to say that whoever is born has been sentenced to death? It is true to say. All of us have been sentenced to death. One day it will come and we will all go. And that will be the day of judgment. And when we are reminded this, we have got to change our ways. And many people don't understand that the language of Quran is such that it changes from third person immediately to second person. They don't understand when they read the translation, the Westerners especially, they say, how come this was being said as an assertion and expression, suddenly it becomes conversation? They don't understand this. Why? Because when I started Surah Al-Hamd in namaz, for example, I started with eulogizing Allah. All praise unto Him, the Lord of whole universe and the worlds. The Prophet said immediately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Malaika, listen to my servant. He has praised me and acknowledged my authority. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Allah says, it's a hadith of the Prophet. Allah says in response, the man is relying upon my mercy. Maliki Yawmiddin. He agrees that I am the absolute authority on the day of judgment. He is preparing for himself. The moment you prepare these grounds, you then are entitled to draw nearer and nearer and nearer to Allah, stage by stage, and then you say as if you are seeing Him, Iyyaka Na'budu wa Iyyaka Nasta'in. Only you we worship, and only you, from you we seek help. So, what Mawla said is that immediately a man from ghaib becomes a witness. From having known becomes one who has realized. There is a difference between recognition and realization. Every one of us knows that fire burns. But how many know exactly how fire burns? I mean, it needs no explanation. Fire burns. But to know fire burns is something else. And to put your finger into a flame and get burnt is something else. One is called recognition. Another is called realization. When you reach the stage of realization, you say, Iyyaka Na'budu wa Iyyaka Nasta'in. And remember, Iyyaka Na'bud. It could have been Na'buduka. We worship you. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put Iyyaka before Na'bud to give what we call in Arabic hasr. Means only you we worship and none else. by putting Iyyaka before Na'budu, there is a hasr, which means we worship none but you. Emphasis has become by putting Iyyaka before the verb. Otherwise it could have been the verb alone, Na'buduka, we worship you. But just as we say in Gujarati, Tamarij ibadat karu. That G, the way we put Ja. Aap hi ki ibadat karta hu. Teri hi ibadat karta hu. This he gives an emphasis and hasr, means nobody else is there except you. Iyyaka na'budu. And the problem with us is that we, all of us, suffer from what we call egotism and conceit. The biggest sin that remains within me, and when I use the word sin, is in the meaning of drawback, is the capital I. The capital I. I can judge myself by observing how often I use the pronoun I for myself. Sometimes we find, God forgive, and God may not classify us among those. But sometimes you talk about somebody else and somebody comes and says, even I did it. Well, we are talking about somebody else. We are giving him tribute. He wants you to know that even he has done it. This I is a sickness, is illness. When it develops into something cancerous. To an extent, it is necessary. For example, if I were obliterated, then people would get crushed under the car. Suppose you came out of this exit of ours, which is not very wonderful, and if you did not see right or left, and just walked, what will happen? Some car will kiss you, will pick you up. But then you say, Mullah Sahib, I did because you said in Majlis, forget your eye. I forgot my eye. That is not the meaning. The meaning is when it becomes cancerous, when it starts becoming a disease, that in everything what we say, If you have seen, I don't know, these days they don't use, but in India, and in Africa also, those who used to clean the cotton or sufi or kapok, they use a particular cleaner which has a tune in it. And there is a piece of hide joined to it, and you put into the whole lot of cotton and you just move that, and with that the cotton becomes clean from its seeds. Have you seen that? Pinjara, which we call it. Julaha does that. Well, that hide has come from whom? It has come from the skin of a goat. Because that should be as soft as it is. As long as that goat is alive, you will hear meh, meh, meh. Don't you hear? As long as that goat was alive, it was meh, meh, meh. Yes. The moment it was slaughtered and put into this, it is tu, 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 tu. Now meh, meh is forgotten. Now tu, 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 tu. This is what happens to us. While we are here, everyone likes to say meh, meh, meh. Haven't you seen a young man standing before the mirror for half an hour, regarding himself? Even we do it. Sherwani buttons, you know, making ourselves what they call presentable. Regarding oneself, asking what are you doing? Are you gone mad? He says no. He is thinking in his mind that the moment he will be out of the mirror and go into society, he has got to be appreciated so that the eye is not wounded. The eye. Huh? Otherwise somebody will say, this man is slipshod. But when he says, somebody says, mashallah, he's well dressed, presentable, then that eye is inflated. That eye, it's a disease. And in order to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first sacrifice is the sacrifice of I. Seemingly very easy, but very difficult. Once the Prophet knocked the door of Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari. Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari was his companion. He went to his house, knocked the door. Jabir did not realize that it was the Prophet. He said, "Waman ala al-bab?" Who is at the door? The Prophet said, "Jabir, open the door. I have come." They sat together. He gave his name and then he said, "Ya Rasulullah, you should have asked me to come to you rather than you come to me." The Prophet said, "It is good to visit mu'mineen, to ask them inquire about their whereabouts. I have just come to see you. How are the children? How are they?" So he said, "Ya Rasulullah, now it has become incumbent upon me to come and visit you." He said, "Fine. One of these days you can come." After some days he went to the Prophet. And the Prophet knew who has come, but the Prophet repeated the same thing and said, "Waman ala al-bab?" And who is at the door? And Jabir immediately said, "Ana." I. And the Prophet opened the door and said, "Jabir, Ana. Ana. La yaqulu ana illa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." No one says Ana but Allah subhanahu. Do you know what is the meaning of Ana? So it is Ananiyah which is killing us. I. This takes us to Riya, to show. This takes us to Sum'ah, to make people listen. This takes us to so many things. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. This is the reason why, my friends, I finished. Inshallah again we'll be continuing. That in this, immediately, after having praising Him, as we come to Allah to talk to Him, we don't say Iyyaka A'budu, we say Iyyaka Na'budu. We worship you and nobody else. I, no, not I, we. The word I is not there. If there would have been I, it would have been Iyyaka A'budu. It is Iyyaka Na'budu. Whether you pray alone or you pray in jama'ah, you will always use we and not I, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His presence does not want us to say I or have ananiya. Na'budu, we. And that is why the Prophet said this ayah itself should give you an indication that what is the fadila of Salatul Jama'ah, to pray together, because you are representing all. Iyyaka Na'budu. More of it inshallah as we go on. Tonight is the wafat of Janab Khadija, who is the mother of Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. She passed away on 10th of Ramadan. And in the year she passed away, immediately after a few days, Abu Talib alayhi salam also passed away. So this year was called or named by the Prophet as Amul Huzn, the year of the grief, year of sorrow. Who is Khadija? Very brief, but let my sisters who sometimes feel that we have no room in Islam or our services to Islam because it is a masculine society, a society of man, and women have nothing to contribute, let them hear that the first person to help Islam was a lady, and her name was Khadijatul Kubra. When the Prophet came back from Hira and came home and said that Khadija, Jibreel Amin came and said, "Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq." Do you know that it is very difficult for the wives to believe the husbands? The whole world can believe you, the wife will be the last to believe. Because she knows what others don't know. True. I mean, nothing to hide. They say that one peer, you see, in Farsi they say, Piran nami parand, muridan mi paranand. Peer themselves don't fly, but the followers make them fly. The followers will say, okay, we saw him fly, although he never flew. So, one peer was there and people made it common and current that at night after 12 o'clock, peer flies from his window. We have seen him. Nobody had seen him. But people believe, after all, see. I say it quite often, if you take only two hands empty without anything and stand at the pillar outside and stand more here and just look at it, somebody will come from down below, somebody will come from here and there and try to look. And it will be just like king's new clothes. There is no thread there, but people will look and you will say, Jo, dekhai che, and they will say, ha, mane pan thoru. So these are the things, my dear. This is called mob psychology. But when the wife came to know that peer, that at night at 12 o'clock after midnight, it is said that peer flies. And the tragedy was that the peer himself started believing that he was flying. So one day as he bragged and he said, Madam, do you know, I fly. He said, I saw you. But I saw you flying at an angle like this. Like the one who has got a broken wing. So she must find something wrong. The wife must find something wrong. Kuch na kuch teda hona hi chahiye, as they say in Urdu. But it is the wife who has stayed with the Prophet for 15 years since she got married. And the Prophet comes and says, the wahi has come and I have seen Jibreel, who told me, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. وَخَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ عَلَقٍ. And the first thing Khadija said, آمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ وَبِمُحَمَّدٍ. I have brought that faith upon Allah and upon Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa. And don't forget one thing, my friends, she was Malikatul Arab, the queen of Arabia. Wealth was at her feet. She came to the Prophet and said, Ya Rasulullah, this mission, what does it need? Any mission. The Prophet said it needs two things. It needs wealth and it needs strength of the young people. Khadija said, as far as jihad and strength is concerned, I am a woman. It is not for me. But wealth, she opened her treasury before Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And she said, Ya Rasulullah, every penny is for you and for Islam. We can't forget her. We can't forget Janabi Khadija. And I believe, and firmly so, that Allah paid her back in this world. In the hereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows better. Paid her back by giving her the motherhood of the noblest of the women, Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. But do you know what happened when Fatima was born? Majlis alayhi Rahma writes that the women of Makkah boycotted, although there was always a tradition which is called the tradition of midwifery. There were no hospitals in those days. The women of the tribe would come and help a woman deliver. Women in neighborhood would come. Elderly women would come and help a woman, a mother, deliver a child. These are called Qabila. And none of them was prepared to come and serve Khadija. When Fatima was being born, they thought that we have boycotted her and therefore we will not help her. They did not know what was going to happen. When Hawa came and Asiya came, when the ladies from Jannah came to help Khadija as midwives, but the women did not come. And she stood by him all the time. A wealthy woman became poor for the sake of Islam. Therefore, what can a lady do? What can a woman do? That is the question. The question is, and I say it openly, when the husband is benamazi, that means does not pray, Tariqus Salah. The only person who can make that person husband namazi is the wife, provided she herself is a namazi. The wife. The mother. The children of our community are in the laps of the mother. And when they will act like Khadija, this society will change. But if we ignore them by not even teaching them the essentials of religion, and we only confine them to attending majlises only, we will create a group of ladies who do not know anything. We have got to teach them Masail al-Fiqh, Quran, Tafsir, Hadith, so that from their generation rises, generation of ulama and generation of people with taqwa and who know what religion is. They can perform what a woman can do, man can sometimes not do. And this is a fact. When Napoleon said, and rightly so, give me good mothers and I shall give you a good nation. This is what he said. Because the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. This is what women can do if Janab Khadija al-Kubra's seerah is followed. And just as Abu Talib has got an obligation upon us, for in Karbala, not a single son of Abu Talib was saved. All the shuhada of Karbala are from the leniency of Abu Talib, Banu Hashim. So, every shaheed from the first Imam up to our 11th Imam, barring Imam Ali, who is a son-in-law, from Imam Hassan onwards up to, they are all grandsons of Khadija al-Kubra. So the obligation and the favor of Khadija does not cease there. She gave blood together with wealth. Her grandsons, one after the other, have been shuhada. So when she passed away, I've got only one word to say, that the person who cried most then, who wept, and for her we weep every day, was Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. She wept. She wept bitterly. And for her mother. But of course the Prophet was still alive. And the Prophet came to Janabi Fatima and said, Fatima, Khadija has gone, but Muhammad is still alive. What happened to Fatima when Muhammad went away is what happened. We know that she had to stand on the grave and say, Subbat alayya masaibun law annaha. Subbat ala layyami sirna layaliya. Oh Father, after you have gone, there have been one after the other calamities and adversities upon us. If those calamities had come upon day, they would have turned into night. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.